going to talk about the melody tool now. Especially love this slide carnival, by the way, is where I'm getting all of these slides. And I especially love this one because it's a single line going through. And what I'm trying to reinforce with melody is that melody is an arrangement of single notes. You can hum, sing, or play those notes, but it's going to be a single note. If you follow my line down here, we're only seeing one note at a time, and that's what makes it melody. And so, of course, I played Name That Tune with them. And so they're hearing, shout it out if you know it. You ready, you guys? Dun, 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 dun. Nobody? Dun, 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 dun,
Happy
dun,
birthday.
dun.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you. I
birthday.
knew somebody out there knew that was happy birthday. Okay, I might try dun 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 dun.
Vegan
dun.
weed.
Yes, and if you didn't know the exact name of it, I would let the kids say, well, who would you use it for? And they always say you put a baby to sleep with that one. And then, of course, I always played Harry Potter. Da, 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 and they would all be like, oh, that's Harry Potter. Hedwig's theme. Some kid would always know specifically that's Hedwig's theme. Then we talk about intervals, the space between two notes. And this is a great place for you to use solfege if you do that, but I want to make sure I show Kim something that I absolutely love. Is I always taught with the hand staff with my students with special needs. And so the hand staff is showing you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or C, D, E, F, G, any way you want to use that. But then I showed by using my hand up and down. I couldn't find a name for that. The solfege is the one where, Sarah, show us the solfege scale. Like, just do it. Oh, there, look at Beth has got it too. Woo! I never taught with that. And the kids that I got in my class did not want to sing in the slightest. But as soon as I mentioned solfege or did something like this, they would understand that I'm trying to show space between notes. So the main thing I do here is I'd say, I'm going to show you a little kid's song, because little kids' songs are purposefully very few notes. Hot cross buns, 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns. There's only 3 notes in that song. And that's why that's a little kid's song, because when you get wide space, it makes it harder to sing when you're young, if you haven't developed your range yet. Then I talk about the Star Spangled Banner. On the Ellen show, they had a 5-year-old singing the Star Spangled Banner. Does anybody have any idea why Ellen would bring on a 5-year-old to do the Star Spangled Banner? Does anybody know what the significance of that is?
It's the range, and it's difficult.
The range.
Very difficult.
I mean, it's amazing. Go ahead, Beth. What was the second part you said?
Nothing, just that it's difficult to sing breath and range. And so to have a little like that, be able to do it is like, woo.
Woo, that's amazing. And so then I would show them, and of course this is not accurate. I'm just trying to reinforce the range of the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? So I'm trying to show them that the range, and then I'd always talk about that highest note. We haven't even hit the highest note yet. So intervals are something that you get to decide what you like the space. Do you like it to be close together? Or do you like to have a big range in your piece? So what I'm doing is preparing for them to drop notes into the melody window, which is coming up really quick. Okay, we also talk about tonality, having the music sound complete. I have a song from Indonesia that I usually play. It's called Tonggaret, and it's a pop singer in Indonesia. But when I listen to it, I don't hear, it doesn't use the traditional scale that we hear in America. And so to me, it never sounds complete. But I have students who say they absolutely love it, and they write down the name of the group because they want to go back and listen again. So you can give some examples, but this is where I do my science experiment. So is everybody ready to do a science experiment? We're going to work on our brains right now. And I want you to turn on your sound, but don't say anything. And notice how I'm reinforcing right now that I don't want them to say anything by using my quiet symbol. And then I'll do this. Okay. What I want you to pay attention to is how we know this piece of music is complete. And the way we know that it's complete is because we hear the ending. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave out the ending of this song, and I want you to see if inside your brain you can hear the ending. Okay, don't say it out loud because it ruins the experiment for everybody else. Okay, you ready? Don't say anything. I picked a song I think you're all going to know, so you know the ending. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece is white as. Oh, I just saw Sarah mouth the word because she couldn't say it. You know what's funny is there are some kids in the room who will be shaking until I say, what is it? And then they go, snow, because they have to hear that it's complete. And it is so cool that I say, did you hear that word snow inside your head? You guys wave your hand if you heard the word snow inside your head. That's something called audiation. And it's something that develops in your brain. So if you didn't hear it, it means that you're not ready to audiate yet. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. You're not ready to hear it yet. And then, of course, I want to reinforce the melody part of it. So we repeat the experiment. Okay, ready, everybody? Don't sing because you know it ruins the experiment. And I go la 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 la. And then I say go, and the kids go la, or they want to hear it. And they might not get the exact pitch, but they know there's a sound that goes there at the end that makes that song complete. So I stumbled on that activity. I've been doing that for 18 years, and kids really understand tonality when you go through that experiment. So that's just an opportunity. This is also might be the first time that I talk to them about the fact that I'm using what they would think of as a little kid's song. But I'm doing it on purpose. I know they're tweeners. They are not 5. But I know that most of the kids in the room are going to know that song, and that's why I picked that song. So that's going to come up again in just a little bit. Okay, so tonality, you can pick any song you want, but Mary Had a Little Lamb just is particularly a good one. Worked well for me for years. Talking about major and minor is really hard. I had a college professor who said, never say major is happy and minor is sad. But when I went to the definition on the internet and I looked at a bunch of different examples, of course, they want to talk about chords and modality, but instead our kid user-friendly languages, it sounds happy and bright because of the major notes and chords. If you want to go into major notes and chords, feel free. My students did not care about major notes and chords. So I just placed something with them. You guys are going to get an awesome experience here in just a second that I came up with this year. Minor sounds dark and gloomy. I love first trimester when it's Halloween coming up, that I can just pull out a Halloween song and the kids right away get it. But I'm going to show you an example of what I would do in my classroom. This is the first time you're going to play an instrument. What I'd all like you to do on this screen is you can see that I have a website, https://virtualpiano.net/. That worked very well for most of the kids who used it, but not everybody could get it to work. And I always had some kind of other thing where I would, I'm going to put it in the chat for you if you want to just click on it. So now I'm going to go in while you're pulling up this incredible, this is how we taught our keyboard unit virtually this year. And super cool is you can use your computer keys, so TYU on your computer keyboard will play CDE. You can go up to key assist and you can turn it into note labels. So I go out of the orange X and now I have CDE. And I hate that it has the numbers, but maybe you reinforce areas of the keyboard, and so that's going to be useful for you. I would put this as C1 because we're only using it in this area, but whatever, and then highlight keys, or you can do turn the keyboard key assist off so that there's nothing on there. but I taught them with TYU, but I'm going to now show you with my screen. I used 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to start presenting this for you. Okay, so this is the first time you're going to experience playing in class. So this is about day 6 in class, but I'm going to show you that we have the simple song and we're going to play it in major. And major is going to include, if you're a piano player, C, D, and E. For anybody who doesn't know piano, we're just going to call that 1, 2, and 3. We're also going to play it in minor. This would be A, B, and C. But in numbers, we're going to refer to it as 1, 2, and 3. We're going to play a song in a group of 4 because it's the most common time signature. And we're going to use 4 groups of 4. Those are called measures. So we have 4 of those. And then this is the song. And our song goes 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1. So this is the number system that I used with my junior high students just to accommodate for kids who didn't ever have any piano training and have forgotten about the music alphabet. So what I want you to try on your virtual piano right now is playing 3, 2, 1. So I think it's U, T, U, Y, T, U, Y, T, if you want to use your computer keyboard. Okay, so just try that real quick. Okay, now I know there's somebody out there who's dying to share it with us. Does anybody want to play it out loud? Do we have anybody offering to play it out loud? Okay, Sarah, why don't you turn on your microphone and play for us the song at the bottom of the screen.
Hold on. Can you hear it?
Yes.
A little slow.
And then I said, I'll go back and I say, remember I sang that just a little bit ago. That's called Hot Cross Buns. And the reason I picked that song is it's so easy. Sarah, everybody clicks for Sarah. Or whatever you do in your room, jazz hands, boogie. Yay, Sarah. So Sarah was able to play that and demonstrate for everybody that she was able to do it. And it's a super simple song. And if you can see with my system here, I'm reinforcing rhythm. Kim, I think this might be very useful for you. If your music teacher is using notation, but you do not want to present using notation, you can use my numbering system. Lisa, because you're a trained musician, you're probably going to want to put notation in here. It's however you want to do it with your students. So you can go back in and change my 3, 2, 1 to a CD, EDC if you want to. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, try it in minor. I want you to move your fingers over. And now we're going to play it with the A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3 in our blue keys here. And listen to how it changes the sound. Okay, does anybody want to volunteer to play it out loud in minor?
I'll do it.
Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, hold on. Got to go back to the web there. Okay.
Okay, so Lisa, thank you so much for sharing with the rest of the group. And do you notice that Lisa got the opportunity to share? She was not forced to do so, but there's going to be kids who will die to be the example person for you. But then that way you're also hearing the minor. Could you tell the difference between major and minor? So if I go back to the definition that we had, it said happy and bright sounds was the major. That's the red notes we used. And minor is gloomy and dark. And I sometimes do an example where I sing it, hot cross buns, and it makes it sound like the buns got burned when you do it in minor. So hot cross buns is a great example. And I think the kids understand that we're picking easy. A secondary student would want to understand that we're picking an easy song because we want it to make it easy for you the first time you do it. Okay, so so we do the name that tune, and then I have an even cooler thing I came up with. One day I just happened to come in the classroom and I was playing a rock song and I realized it's the same 3 notes in the chorus. So I'm very, very excited to share it. You are the first adults to know this wonderful thing I came up with. Okay, I'm going to reinforce that this pattern A, you're going to play on the major and you're going to play 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So try that real quick on your keyboard. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here's pattern B, and it's 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1. Try that on your keyboard. Okay, so if you've got the second pattern down, let's hear the third pattern. 1, 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1. So go ahead and try that on your keyboard. Okay, is there anybody who wants to try Jen or Kim or June or Peter, Jennifer, somebody that hasn't played yet? Anybody want to try playing one of those patterns for us? And I would immediately say, if nobody wants to, then I do demo the patterns. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to have you do them in this order. We're going to play pattern A, and I want you to play along with me. And then we're going to play pattern B immediately after that. Then we're going to go back and play pattern A, and then we're going to jump over and play pattern C. The first time you do it is going to be challenging, but after you know what the song is, it's going to be a little less challenging because then you remember how the song goes. Okay, so let's try A and B together first. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1. Okay, that's pattern A and B together. Okay, now we're going to try A and C. Remember, we're going to have to do a big jump to look over here at the C. In fact, maybe it would be nice if I put A and C next to each other in a second grouping. Okay, we'll try it together. 1, 2, ready, play, and 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, jump. 1, 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1. Okay, now I'm going to ask, can anyone name this tune? It's a famous rock song. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, da 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 dun, dun, dun. Okay, then if nobody comes up with the song I reveal, it is Chainsmokers and Coldplay, Something Just Like This. And the truth is that you can play along with this song from 47 seconds to 106 or something like this. So play that pattern. So this is an opportunity to show the group that 3 notes are simple, though they're right there inside this Coldplay song. Any song that's more than 2 days old is an oldies. And so if you don't keep up with the music, you're in trouble. And so I know I can talk to you about Kodak Black just as well as I can talk to you about Mozart, because I got to know about Kodak Black in order to draw that Kodak Black crowd into my class. I want to welcome Athena as attending right now. And I'm so excited because Athena is our Kickstarter filmmaker. And we're so happy to have you here today, Athena. We basically we're talking about melody right now. And so I'm basically presenting what I would have been showing the kids. And we just played the virtualpiano.net. And I'm sorry you missed out on that opportunity, but you're just going to have to try it on your own with the module that you have in your possession right now. But I'm going to keep going here, but we're so glad you're with us, Athena. So we play that from 47 to 106, and the kids go crazy for that because they're actually playing 3 very simple notes. They see that the virtual piano is something they can do. If you have actual keyboards in your room, I believe right now the Iowa City Schools is going to allow the instruments to go back into the classroom. And I don't know what they're going to do, spray or whatever in between, but so you can play that on an actual one, and then you can go on and talk about minor. So maybe Kim or Lisa, you're not interested in major and minor, so you don't go through this, but you can just take that slide out of your slideshow then if it's not of interest to you. Major and minor do happen in the program, and so that's why I included it in the presentation. Okay, so now we're just going to review real quick that our melody tools are melody, intervals, tonality, and major, minor. And now we're ready to get started writing some music. So we're going to compose a melody, and I'm going to show you an example of a melody I wrote. It's very, very simple. And you notice that my screen looks a little different than the screen we've been looking at so far. And that's one of the little features I'm going to share with you, that we are going to be using Hyperscore 5.0. So we have an update to what it looks like. And here is the old version. And we would have called this the workspace. We have some of the very same tools. I'm sorry, this is the new version 5.0, excuse me. I do have the old version in one of my slides. We're going to click on the workspace. We're going to click on the melody window over here, and it's going to drop a melody window onto our screen. As you notice, some of those features that Peter put in that I absolutely love is we have a color, so we can talk about the red window. We also have the tone colors, so we know that we're going to hear a piano play and that it's in groups of 4. And this would be a great time to reinforce that you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So that's why this is a group of 4. So we have our 4 beats delineated. We also have the sub beats delineated here on our melody window. Okay, and then when we're going to click on the pen over here, and we're going to drop 2 notes into our window. And so the students are doing this with me. If you would like to experience that, you can pull up your Hyperscore that I sent you and be experiencing this by clicking on the pen and dropping 2 notes into your window. We've found the workspace, and hopefully if you're playing along with me, you've made a melody window, and you've also had the opportunity to drop 2 notes into the screen. And I tell the kids I'm being very controlling of you right now for a very specific reason, because I'm trying to teach you how to use these tools. So don't think you're not going to have freedom later on. There's a whole part in the class where you have 3 days to compose, and there are no rules. I don't even come and look at your screen other than to see that you're not playing Minecraft, that you're actually composing. So the next thing we're going to do is click on the settings button. So everybody do that right now. Click on the settings button if you're participating. And I'm going to show you the thing that blew my mind. That's the first email in all caps I sent to Peter. Peter has created different ways of looking at Hyperscore. So our first one is the classic. Our second example is system, which is my favorite, by the way. All my examples are in system. Then there is dark. I don't know if your students, whenever you go and look at their screen, sometimes they've got their paper is black and they're writing with white letters. And it drives me nuts, but who am I to judge? They like that dark stuff, so feel free. You can use the dark setting if you want, or the super cool black light setting. But wait, there's more, minimalist, or you might want to be the chalkboard, the LCD screen, the sunlight screen, springtime, or nighttime. So go ahead and choose the setting that you'd like to use. And it's purely preferential, and all it does is it just changes the color scheme. Everything's still available to you. It just changes the color scheme. Hey, can we get a what for Peter on this one? What? Peter, love it, love it, love it. Okay, I can tell you right now, 3/4 of the junior high students are going to be in that black light, and they're going to be in heaven. And some of them are going to be in that nighttime and be in heaven. And some of them are going to say, I'm a piano player and I want it to look like music. So they're going to use classic. But here's the awesome thing is they have choice. Okay, so we're going to experiment with note values now. And that note that you dropped on the screen, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to touch it using the arrow tool. And then I want you to pull on the box that shows up. Pull on that little handle. And you can create notes of any size. And this is a great, if you're a music teacher and you're wanting to reinforce value, you can do that now. You can drop a note and the pen stays that note value until you change it again. If you want to reinforce note values, I put that into the program for you where I'm clicking and it's not happening. Oh, down at the bottom, I'm showing you that there's a group of 4. So we're in 4/4 time. And then you can also reinforce. Okay, so I'm going to show you that this number 2 is half the window. So this would be a half note. So now if this is the half note, can you tell me which one is the 16th note? 16 of them would fit into this one window. Anybody want to say it out loud?
Number 5.
Number 5, thank you for being brave and saying that out loud. I'm going to tell you in my junior high class that the chance of somebody speaking out loud is very low, but I always offered the opportunity for them to talk, but they usually didn't. But sometimes they put it in the chat privately to me, so I always had to keep the chat open on the side because then I could say, oh, 4 of you said number 5, and that was correct. Number 5 is the 16th note. So of course, everybody, what's the whole note? Type in the chat or say out loud. And oh, I
1.
see somebody using their finger to show me it's number 1. That's a great idea. That's a great way to show me that number 1 is the whole note. So which one is the quarter note? Show me with your hand if you want to. Oh, Peter, you got it right away. It's the 3. So that means that our 8th note is number 4. So you know that if you know anything about music, you know that you can use half, 16th, whole, quarter, and 8th notes. But if you don't know anything about music, you just know that this shape is going to fill the whole thing up. This is half of it. This is a quarter of it. 8 of these will fit in the screen and 16 of these will fit in the screen. So you don't have to know anything about music notes to make sure that you can have some long and short sounds. So what we're going to do is we are going to have you start composing. Let me look at the time. Okay, I have somebody who'd like a 5-minute break. So here's what I want you to do is I'm going to put these on the screen and that person can do whatever they need to do for 5 minutes, but I'm going to give you your directions. You're going to place your first note on the center line. If you don't do that, I'm going to make you do it. So just go ahead and start on the center line and I'll explain to you why I made you put your first note on the center line. Then I want you to make a melody I'm going to recognize. Something super simple like hot cross buns, twinkle, twinkle, little star. And then you call me over and let me see if I can hear that song when you play it. And then the final thing is once I've okayed it, you can write 1 to 2 more windows. You can use the rest of the class period and write your own melodies with no rules. You can put them anywhere you want. But first you have to start in the center line. Second, you have to make a song that I'm going to recognize. And third, call me over. And then fourth, you get to do whatever you want. Okay, now I'm just going to take a little aside because you're all adults and tell you that you always have a kid who writes out Star Wars. And they're stoked, their mind is blown because they're writing out Star Wars. And you have kids who can't quite figure out, they put hot cross buns in minor. So when I go over to listen to it, I say, I can see hot cross buns. I can see twinkle, twinkle, little star. I might just have to show them. Now, do you hear that that sounds better when I make it a little shorter and a little higher? So this is an opportunity to go back, reinforce pitch and value. And that's why I make them do this simple song. Okay, so 5-minute break starting now, and I want you to mess around with Hyperscore, and I'm going to look at your faces and see how happy you are as you're working with Hyperscore. Ready, set, go. Set a timer.
Cece, this is on the same screen we were dropping those other notes on, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Great question. Thank you for asking your question. Thank you for being brave and asking your question out loud, Jennifer. That helps the other people in the room that were wondering the same thing.
Should I play you mine? See one. I like to call these musical droplets. All right.
That's what we call them, is drops. Okay, and I would immediately say to Dr. Beth Brown, I 100% that Yankee Doodle went to town, and I say, Beth, you have shown me that you know how to use Hyperscore. Enjoy. No rules. Bye. And then I'd walk away from her. Everybody's back, I think. Okay, so we have been composing melodies. So usually what I do for the last 18 years is I gave them a day to learn about melody, and we experienced all sorts of things. And then they had a day to make melodies. So what you just did in 20 some minutes, that would be 2 days, 2 class periods in my class. So however you want to do that, but just don't think that you have to do that all in one day. It could be multiple days, or revisit it, or you get to a topic and you pull it out. You want to experience on the Orff instruments and play it with rhythm instruments. Kim, I think your students are going to be fascinated if you ever get Mr. Peter Torpy as a guest speaker to see how did he make those things layer? Like, I never really thought about that until I started asking Peter to change things for me about the complexity of the technology that you would have to understand in order to make something happen. And Jen, Jennifer, Sarah, Lisa, Kim, one of the things that is so great about this company is that Peter is here. If we have something that we absolutely say, I must have this tool, it will enhance the experience, I can put it on Peter's list, and then he reviews it and decides if it's something he can do, and then provides you that tool. So it's a wonderful opportunity, which June is supporting, is finding exactly what you need to make it work for you in your classroom. So maybe Kim is going to, we're going to pull behind the curtain and see some of that some of that coding that Peter's doing in order to make something happen. And, I don't know if that's of interest to you, but it's something I'm definitely thinking about, might be with your tech students. Okay.
Cece,
Yes.
I have a question. Is there some sort of like cheat sheet to what controls do what on that page?
Yes. Okay. So something I asked Peter to do, let me stop sharing, and then I'm going to go up to my version of Hyperscore, is I asked him to put back the little floaty things that come out. And I asked him to put those back in. When I'm saying floaty things, just a second, I think it's now Control-Alt-H makes them. I asked him to put back the little thing that dangles and says, do you see how that says select tool? And that says draw tool. And that says erase tool. So by presenting this to the kids, I'm teaching them each of those tools, but I'm teaching them in a specific order. Like, if somebody figures out how to edit, they raise their hand and I go over and they go, look, if I hit this, it makes this delete. And then I'll tell the whole class, Kim just figured out how to delete. How did you delete, Kim? And then Kim teaches everybody that I used the arrow to click on the droplet tool and hit the backspace, and it deleted. So I let the kids be the star winners of the day when they figure out how to do something. So yes, Jennifer, you will be teaching each of these tools, but I'm specifically teaching them in the order I want the kids to know them.
Because when I hover over them, they don't come up with the text.
Okay, so that's something that we'll share with Peter. So when I gave you, my beta version has the hover, but your beta version does not. So Peter, I know, is right now typing. He is sending me things through Jira and Atlassian. Have you guys ever heard of Jira and Atlassian? I always thought that was just something I hear on NPR all the time. And then all of a sudden, Peter and I talk to each other through Jira and Atlassian. It's how he reviews what you want him to do and then puts it in process and then completes the task. So you let me know, or let Peter, well, why don't you tell me, we'll discuss it musically, and then we'll decide if that's something we present to Peter, whether he wants to do that musically. But the team can talk about that, but I'm sure that'll come up. But we want you to have the toggle that hangs down and says select tool and melody window. And oh, I'm just seeing mine. I just hovered over the time signature and it says time grid. So he's even gone in and put buttons to say tone color and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll get that working for you. Thank you for sharing that, Jennifer. Okay, so if we're done talking about melody, does anybody have any questions about melody? And of course, you've been playing melodies in your classroom and you've been talking about it. Okay, so now we're going to.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was trying to save mine and I hit the safe, but then it just disappeared. So
okay, so thank you very much for bringing that up. That was in my little notes. I've got a million sticky notes in front of me on my computer here, and that was one of the ones. Oh, can I say before I tell you that I want to make sure you all understand. You've been in front of your classroom before with computers. You understand that kids are going to be touching. Yep. So do you guys know about 45 in focus? It's what we do at the junior high. 45 in focus is they have to take their Chromebook when you say 45 in focus, and they have to make their screen like this. So that means that you know they're not typing. Our elementary students are getting Chromebooks this year for the first time. So that I think was one of the greatest things I learned is 45 in focus. So you know they're looking at you and not typing on the screen. A second thing I want to share with you is something I had to learn was, are you going to present and the kids are doing it at the same time? Or are you going to present, then they do it? Because I'm going to tell you, present and do has problems because you'll lose them. So kind of I'm trying to model for you today that I am presenting and then I ask you to do something, because otherwise I'm going to lose you. And that 45 in focus. So I see Athena in the back row typing. So I know Athena's going ahead because Athena's figured out how to use the polyphonic mode, and I don't want Athena to do that. So I'm going to say, Athena, 45 in focus. And then I know that the attention's back to the front of the room. Now, how do you save? Peter is working on making this just like Google, where as you work, it saves. And I'm going to tell you that I'm so thankful because I did my PowerPoints, and at one point I went out of Hyperscore and came back in, and all my work was gone because I didn't save. So if you look at the bottom, there's an arrow pointing at the workspace. It's to the right of the safes. And that's how you save your score. And right now it's going to save into your C drive, into your documents folder. You can also do a download thing, but the easiest way to do it is just to put it in your C drive. And I always make the kids call their piece their name. So it will say Peter Torpy 1, because when they turn stuff into me and it's called Untitled, and then I have to say, okay, out of these 12 untitled, which ones is yours? So just a little hint, have them always call it by its name. Eventually they'll get to the point where they call it kittens on the piano keys, but they're not to that point yet. That's at the end when they're complete with their thing. Great question. Thank you for asking that, Sarah.
Just want to add a little bit about the saving. So the functionality that you're seeing right now mirrors our previous versions, and as Cece said, that's going to change. So it's going to be a cloud-based storage, so the saving will happen automatically. So right now you can save it to your desktop and you can open it by dragging it back into the application, into the window. What you see with the 5 safes down there is that each safe can represent an open document right now. So if you clicked on one of the safes that was not the one you were originally working on, it might look like your work disappeared, but you actually went into a new project. So if you click back on the first safe, perhaps, or the one that you were in before, your work should be there.
And Peter, when it saves automatically, how do you make sure you title it correctly?
That's an excellent question, and we've been looking at different ways of laying out the UI so that the first time when you create a piece, after a little bit of time, it could prompt you. But when we have the auto saving, we're going to save some space because we don't need to have all the controls for all the safes at the bottom. So the title of the piece will probably be displayed somewhere, and you can edit that there. So it'll say your username's piece, and then you can click on that and or tap on it and edit the title.
Awesome, thanks.
So
Thank you so much for sharing
one
that.
question. Sorry, Cece.
Go ahead.
My icon next to the safes is grayed out for some reason. I'm not sure why. So
The save icon?
Yeah.
Are you in Safari by any chance?
I'm in Chrome.
You're in Chrome. Is there anything? That's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that.
See, now,
So one thing I would just point out while we're talking about bugs and whatnot, this is a beta version, and
Sure,
so we're
sure.
still working on figuring out and testing it. We've tested it on a number of different platforms, but every version, especially in the Mac world, can be quite different.
Yeah,
When
I'm
you
not-
have an issue,
Mhm.
if you go up to the help menu on the top right,
Uh-huh.
and then you'll see Hyperscore 5, and then there's some version information. There's a little clipboard icon. I don't know if you hover over it, says copy version information. So if
Sure.
you're sending us like, oh, this isn't working or something, if you could click that button, it'll copy it, and then you just paste that into the email that you're sending either to me or to Cece. It'll
Okay.
help us because we'll
Okay.
know what system you're using.
Okay, great.
I would like to also jump in on the same topic of interest, because when I disappeared for a minute from the Zoom. I was trying to get my admin thing to work, and I logged out of my user on my Mac, and it shuts all my Chrome, it shuts everything. And then I logged back in and everything automatically opened again. You know how Chrome will do that. And all my stuff I had done in Hyperscore was still here, and I hadn't saved it. Just FYI.
Yeah, it should do that. There are a couple cases, like if you cleared your browser cache or something, that it would disappear right now, but we haven't refined that too much because we know that's going to change in the next couple weeks.
And I had another question on the melody line. When you drop a note, I would love to be able to then re-click on it just to hear it, and I can't. Do you know what I mean?
That is fixed in the version that I have that is not live yet.
Okay.
So that's one of those things where Peter had me try it, and I said, wait, I want to click on the note. It doesn't work anymore. And he said, blah, 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 in technical terms, what do you have to do to go in and make it happen? Something Kim would understand, but not, I don't know any of the rest of us, but he went back and made it's tap on something. And I think it's very important because then I teach the kids, tap on it and see if it's the right interval. And you can tap without having to play the whole thing every time. But thank you for bringing that up, because that's something Peter, I just send Peter a note in Jira, and he writes back and tells me of what part he is in the process of, or if it's completed. So that's something that's going to get done. It made me think of platform too. This will work for iPads, Chromebooks, and laptops and desktops. So just whatever your room has. Does anybody in here have iPads for your classes? Okay. All right. So Iowa City is Chromebooks. And so June bought me a Chromebook, and I'm going to mess around with it so that I can be able to give you Chromebook hints, because Chromebook is nothing like your laptop. And so the kids would call me over and I'd be like, oh, you know more than I do about a Chromebook. So I'm going to be messing with that next week to make sure I can answer your Chromebook questions. Okay, great discussion there.
I'd like to just throw out there too, this is really cool, you guys. It's really amazing. I feel like there's so many possibilities, and it's really neat, really cool. We appreciate that you guys are doing this. So it's
I'm
really
telling you,
interesting and amazing that you're doing it.
when I called the company, when I found out my lab was going away because of COVID, I called the company and I said, please make it online. And I don't even know who I was talking to. It could have been Peter, for all I know.
We did have a call, yeah.
And then at one point, June and Peter and I were talking, and I said, I'm going to retire soon. And is there any way I can work for you? And I mean, it's just was the perfect timing. And then to get to know Athena through the Kickstarter, and then all of you. So anyway, I could go on and on, but I'll stop because I know our time is valuable. All right. So anybody have any questions about melody? Okay, so the kids would leave. It was their job, according to the directions, to have 1 to 3 melodies in their window. I'm going to point out real quick, if somebody figured out that you can pull on the right side and make it longer, I asked them to make it 2 measures long. Okay, so one of the things that I have on Peter's list is to make the bar line darker so that we can see that we have two measures here. And then as you keep pulling that, it's gonna, you can see that we have the third measure shows up, and it's defined, it's just not dark enough, I don't think. The very end of the slideshow, I congratulate them because they now have two musical tools in their composition toolbox, and that is rhythm and melody. So right now they should have 1 to 3 rhythms and 1 to 3 melodies.